Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news tonight on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. Modi reiterates support to the EU while Macron promises to support India at NSG. Two army jawans killed in a terrorist ambush on an army convoy on the Jammu-Srinagar highway. NIA conducts multiple raids across 3 states in connection with the terror funding in the valley. Election Commission's EVM hackathon challenge ends. CEC says the issue of tampering now stands closed, reiterating that EVMs cannot be tampered with. And United Nations expands sanctions against North Korea for continuing its missile tests despite warning. China calls for peaceful settlement of issue. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded his 4-nation tour of Europe on Saturday. Paris was his last destination, where he held wide-ranging talks with France's new president, Emmanuel Macron. Prime Minister Modi also invited the French president to visit India. The invitation has been accepted and Macron is expected to visit by the end of this year.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron held summit-level talks on Saturday in Paris. Before the summit-level meeting, both leaders also exchanged views on issues of mutual interest during restricted talks. The motto of these meetings was to create better understanding between the two leaders to continue the ongoing cooperation. The issue of climate change was top of the agenda, just a day after Donald Trump decided to pull the US out of the Paris Accord.
खास करके क्लाइमेट चेंज के संदर्भ में, पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के संदर्भ में जिस तरह कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के काम किया, और मैं समझता हूं कि पेरिस एग्रीमेंट ये एक साझी विरासत है, ये और विश्व की साझी विरासत है.
In fact, I will be traveling to India by the end of the year, and we will convene a meeting, an international meeting of the World Solar Alliance, to which many climate countries contribute in order to tackle climate change. We will take a number of concrete initiatives in favor of solar energy. We will commit our companies, innovate more.
Prime Minister Modi and President Macron also discussed the issue of terrorism and decided to cooperate against the menace on all fora. No agreements were signed after the summit, as this was not on the agenda. The agenda was to understand each other in a new situation and continue with strategic relations after the takeover of a new leadership in France. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi was given a ceremonial welcome at the presidential palace in Paris by the French president. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, 2 army jawans were killed and 4 others injured in a terrorist ambush on an army convoy on the Jammu-Srinagar highway on Saturday. The attack comes just hours after the Pakistani army violated the ceasefire along the line of control in Poonch and neighbouring sectors.
2 jawans were killed and 4 others seriously injured after terrorists attacked an army convoy on Jammu-Srinagar National Highway in Kulgam district. The convoy was moving from Udhampur to Srinagar when it was fired upon by terrorists. Terrorist outfit Hizbul Mujahideen has claimed responsibility for the attack. The area was cordoned off and traffic on the Srinagar-Jammu highway stopped soon after the attack.
पाकिस्तान की ये फितरत है, जूते खाना और उसके बाद फिर जो है ऐसी बात करना, हरकत करना. जवाब दिया जा रहा है और सख्ती से दिया जा रहा है. उसको माकूल जवाब फिर मिलेगा. जो शहीद हुए हैं उनको मेरी जो है श्रद्धांजलि है और हम उनको पूरा कड़ा जवाब देंगे. और आर्मी को सिचुएशन को डील करने के लिए बाकी जो है पूरा शूट है, ये जो है वो अपने तरीके से सिचुएशन को डील कर रहे हैं.
In another incident, Pakistan violated ceasefire once again in Jammu and Kashmir's Krishna Ghati sector along the line of control. Earlier on Friday, Pakistani troops violated ceasefire along the line of control in Poonch district. 1 soldier and a civilian were injured in the shelling by Pakistan.
Pakistan has a very poor and a dismal record of human right respect, and it is also guilty of human right violations within its own territory in the provinces of Balochistan and the India's occupied territory of Pak-occupied Jammu Kashmir, Gilgit, Baltistan. So the epicenter of the gravest form of human right violation in this region or in the Indian subcontinent is none other than Pakistan.
हम लोग भी बहुत घबराए हैं। ये शाहपुर के एरिया है, तो उधर से पाकिस्तान वालों ने फायरिंग शुरू की थी, जहां से हिंदुस्तान वाले भी अपना जवाब दे रहे हैं। तो जहां बहुत खतरा हो चुका है और चारों तरफ धुआं ही धुआं है।
छोटा बच्चा कह रहा था बाहर जाऊंगा, उसको लेके बाहर गई, मकान के उधर गोला लगा मकान के पास।
Meanwhile, mobile internet services have been restored in the valley after 7 days of suspension following protests in wake of killing of Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Sabzar Ahmed Bhatt.
सर काफी खुशी भी है। इंटरनेट गवर्नमेंट को इंटरनेट पे बैन करनी ही नहीं चाहिए। अगर इनको कोई सोशल नेटवर्किंग पे कोई प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं तो इन्हें कुछ उन प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करना चाहिए, न कि हर किसी को फिर उस प्रॉब्लम में डालना चाहिए।
आज की दुनिया है वो खाली नेट पे ही चल रही है। इंटरनेट फैसिलिटी जब तक दुनिया में नहीं हो, किसी खिते में नहीं होगी, तब तक उसका कोई काम नहीं होगा। आप बैंक्स में जाइए, आप स्कूलों में जाइए, आप दुकानों ताजरों को देखिए, कितनी परेशानी हो जाती है। आजकल सब कुछ ऑनलाइन करना पड़ता है।
Earlier in the day, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat called on Jammu and Kashmir Governor N.N. Vohra and discussed the internal and external security management issues in the state. The meeting comes after the army concluded its security review and operational preparedness meetings in the valley. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the National Investigation Agency on Saturday conducted multiple raids at several locations across 3 states in connection with terror funding in the valley. The raids were conducted at as many as 23 locations in Kashmir, Delhi and Haryana. The agency raided houses and offices of at least 8 Hawala dealers and traders in the national capital. According to reports, around 1.5 crore rupees in cash and several important documents were seized. The letterheads of terror organizations Lashkar-e-Taiba and Hizbul Mujahideen, pen drives, laptops were also seized from these locations. The agency began its probe into terror funding allegations after a separatist leader confessed of receiving money for subversive activities in Jammu and Kashmir in a sting operation.
No, I think the people of Kashmir want it this way. They want the normalcy to be restored as soon as possible. They want the bluff to be called of some of those so-called protagonists of Kashmir who tend to mislead the youth. And most of all, the youth of Kashmir is keen to be a part of the development journey led by Prime Minister Modi.
और यही लोग, अलगाववादी लोग, इन्होंने कश्मीर घाटी में आज जो विध्वंस का एक वातावरण बना है, जिस प्रकार से युवा पीढ़ी वहाँ बर्बाद हो रही है, स्कूल कॉलेज जिस प्रकार से बंद होते हैं और युवा पीढ़ी स्कूल और कॉलेज न जाकर के अपनी नौकरी नहीं करके जिस प्रकार से सड़कों पर उतर करके पत्थरबाजी में लिप्त पाए जाते हैं, इनके पीछे मुख्य रूप से जो ब्रेन है, जो माइंड है, जो रणनीति है, इन अलगाववादियों की है और देश विरोधी ताकतों की है.
Meanwhile, Home Minister Rajnath Singh has said that the law and order situation in the country is under control. Speaking to reporters in Delhi, marking 3 years of the NDA government, Rajnath Singh also reaffirmed the centre's commitment to bring peace in Kashmir.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh has asserted that the centre is working towards a permanent solution to the Kashmir issue, even as he once again slammed Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. The Home Minister expressed confidence over the government's efforts to eliminate militancy and cross-border terrorism in the valley.
यहाँ तक जम्मू कश्मीर का सवाल है, उस संबंध में भी मैं ये कहूँगा कि यहाँ की स्थिति में भी काफ़ी सुधार हुआ है. हमें अपने जवानों तथा जनता के ऊपर पूरा भरोसा है कि हम शीघ्र ही स्थिति को पूरी तरह से नियंत्रित करने में कामयाब होंगे.
Addressing a press conference on the achievements of the Home Ministry in the last 3 years, Singh said despite India having the second largest Muslim population in the world, Islamic State has failed to grab a foothold in the country.
IS आज तक भारत में अपना पैर नहीं जमा पाया है. इंडियन मुजाहिदीन के 5 ऑपरेटिव्स को NIA स्पेशल कोर्ट द्वारा कैपिटल पनिशमेंट दिया गया है. इससे स्वाभाविक है कि उनकी कमर टूटी है. इसी तरह केंद्रीय एवं राज्य सरकारों की एजेंसीज के बेहतर कोऑर्डिनेशन के कारण हमें IS के खतरे को कंट्रोल करने में भी एक बड़ी कामयाबी हासिल हुई है।
Singh also said that the number of deaths due to violence has come down in the past 3 years of the NDA government. According to the Home Minister, Naxal attacks too have reduced by 25% since the Narendra Modi-led government came to power compared to the UPA's last term from 2011 to 2014.
कुल मिलाजुलाकर सुरक्षा की स्थिति नियंत्रण में है और आप जानते हैं कि 2015-16 में देश के हिंटरलैंड में केवल 2 आतंकवादी वारदातें हुई हैं, पंजाब के गुरदासपुर में और पठानकोट में, और हिंसक घटनाओं में मरने वालों की संख्या में भी 42% की कमी आई है और LWE कैडर के एलिमिनेशन में 65% की बढ़ोतरी और सरेंडर करने वालों में 185% की बढ़ोतरी दर्ज की गई है।
In Naxal-affected areas, including Chhattisgarh, the government has managed to completely destroy the support system of Naxalites. The Home Minister also claimed that infiltration from Pakistan has come down by 45% since the surgical strikes across the LOC in September last year. Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, all the states have agreed to a July 1st rollout of the goods and services tax. This after the GST Council cleared pending rules, including transition provisions and returns. The 15th meeting of the GST Council, chaired by Arun Jaitley, decided to the tax rate of 6 items, including gold, textiles and footwear. Footwear below 500 rupees will be taxed at 5%, while the rest will be charged 18%. For gold, a new tax slab at 3% has been introduced, fairly in line with industry expectations that was appealing for 2% tax. Diamonds too will attract 3% GST, while rough diamonds will have a tax levy of 0.25%. Meanwhile, textiles, fibers and man-made fibers will be taxed between 5 and 18%. The next GST Council meet will be on June 11th.
Less than rupees 500 if a footwear costs, which is for the common man, which is today 9.5%, has been brought down to 5%. And all other 3 categories have been taxed at 18%. We finally reached a consensus of taxing gold at 3%.
Gold and gold jewelry.
Gold and gold jewelry therefore will be 3%. Silk and jute are at the nil category, which is the present category, 0. Cotton and other natural fiber is 5%. Yarn will be 5%, subject to man-made being 18. The made-up apparel, it is taxed at 12%, but apparel costing below rupees 1,000, which the common people use, will be taxed at 5%.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
The problem that exists today in society is malnutrition. They are the powerhouse of nutrition. You don't find in any other grain such a nutrition available. All the millets put together, they are nature of high rich fiber. These crops are good for planet, good for the farmer and good for you.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Vilas A. Tonapi, Director of Indian Institute of Millets Research, Hyderabad, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, DMK patriarch M. Karunanidhi used his 94th birthday celebrations on Saturday to stitch together an opposition alliance. A mega public meeting turned into a political show of strength with Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, Chief Minister of Bihar Nitish Kumar, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri, National Conference Leader Omar Abdullah, NCP Leader Sharad Yadav and TMC's Derek O'Brien in attendance. While Nitish Kumar said that he hoped the next government in Tamil Nadu would be formed by the DMK, Rahul Gandhi said it was time for progressive, secular, democratic forces to come together and defeat the Saffron Party's politics of polarization.
बिहार टाइप महागठबंधन अगर बन जाएगा तो वी विल बी एबल टू डिफीट भारतीय जनता पार्टी, अदरवाइज फॉरगेट। पहले इसकी हो चुकी है और यहाँ पर तमिल पॉलिटिक्स में और तमिलनाडु में डीएमके इज द न्यूक्लियस ऑफ द अपोजिशन यूनिट। देयरफॉर वी आर हियर to express our solidarity.
A few days ago, Mr. Arun Jaitley said that the economic decline is not to do with demonetization. The entire world is saying that demonetization has wrecked the Indian economy. Arun Jaitley is not telling you is that Narendra Modi ji did not even ask him about demonetization. This is the way the government of India is being run.
This is not a pretext. Karunanidhi ji's birthday is not a pretext. I mean, we have come for that event. So as the political developments take place in the country, we'll take the call. Right now the issue is that of the presidential election. There we have taken a position. So as situations develop, we'll take a call.
Well, the EVM hackathon challenge was held as scheduled in Delhi on Saturday. The NCP and the CPIM were the only two parties who nominated 3 representatives each for the challenge. However, the Election Commission reiterated that the EVMs cannot be tampered with and that the issue now stands closed.
The Election Commission of India held the EVM challenge on Saturday. 2 political parties, the NCP and the CPIM, participated in the challenge, sending 3 representatives each. Both parties sent experts in electronics to the hackathon. However, both contended that they were there just to understand the machines and not actually hack them.
The NCP team again met the Commission, where the Commission reiterated their offer that they can still participate in the challenge, or by way of an academic exercise they could participate in the challenge, or could also participate by way of academic exercise by selecting the electronic voting machine and then accessing the memory and battery number by opening the machines themselves.
The Election Commission also said that all future elections will be conducted using VVPAT, and it reiterated that no EVM can be tampered with nor its results changed.
Firmly believes that the use of VVPAT machines along with the EVMs in all polling stations in all future elections will bring utmost transparency and credibility in the EVM based voting system.
For the hackathon challenge, the Commission had brought out 14 EVMs used in the recent Punjab, Uttarakhand and UP polls. Of these, the party representatives were allowed to choose 4 machines each. The challenge was organized after several major opposition parties had claimed that the faith of the people in the machines had eroded due to allegations of tampering. Anu Divan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, farmers in Maharashtra have called off their strike after a meeting with Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. The Chief Minister assured the protesting farmers that the government will set up a committee to look into their demands. He also promised farmers that the state government will solve the problem of debts by 31st October. The Chief Minister also said that the state government has accepted the farmers' demands and will forgive the loans of only those who are not able to pay the debt, and will make a committee who will solve the problems of milk traders.
किसानों ने और उनके प्रतिनिधियों ने ये जो एक हड़ताल घोषित की थी, इस हड़ताल को वापस लिया है, इसलिए मैं उनका भी यहाँ पर अभिनंदन करना चाहता हूँ। और आगे भी किसान राज्य सरकार काम करती रहेगी। उस संदर्भ में राज्य सरकार ने उनको आश्वस्त किया कि जो किसान ओवरड्यू हो गए, कर्जा नहीं भर पाए, थकित है, अड़चन में है, तकलीफ में है, ऐसे अल्पभूधारक छोटे मझोले किसानों को राज्य सरकार मदद करेगी। उनका कर्जा जो है वो राज्य सरकार की ओर से भरा जाएगा।
Well, let's now take a look at some other developments from across the country and nationwide. The CBSE on Saturday announced Class 10 results for Allahabad, Chennai, Delhi, Dehradun and Trivandrum regions. The Central Board has further clarified that results for the remaining regions would be declared soon. The pass percentage in CBSE Class 10 exam declined to 5% from last year at 90.95%. About more than 16 lakh students appeared for the examination this year. The CBI on Saturday arrested Lieutenant Colonel Ranganathan Subramani Moni and middleman Gaurav Kohli in connection with the transfer racket at the Army headquarters in the national capital. Earlier on Friday, the CBI busted a major transfer racket. It is alleged to involve senior officers who were manipulating postings of officers in lieu of huge illegal gratification. BJP President Amit Shah is in Kerala on a 3-day visit. He met several leaders of the party and RSS there. The visit is being seen as part of efforts to strengthen the party's base in the state before the 2019 Lok Sabha polls. The visit also aims at wooing the Dalits and the minority communities in the state. Moving on, now the UN Security Council has expanded targeted sanctions against North Korea in response to a series of missile tests conducted by Pyongyang this year. The measures impose a travel ban and asset freeze on 4 entities and 15 officials, including the head of North Korea's overseas spying operations. The sanctions resolution was adopted by the 15-member council on Friday.
The United Nations Security Council on Friday expanded sanctions against North Korea for its continued missile tests despite repeated warnings. The Council voted unanimously to add 15 individuals and 4 entities linked to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs to a UN sanctions blacklist. The Security Council also strongly condemned Pyongyang for its research and development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles since September 2016, in clear defiance of the Council's resolutions. The US said the sanctions sent a clear message to North Korea to stop firing ballistic missiles or face the consequences.
The United States will continue to seek a peaceful, diplomatic resolution to this situation. We want a negotiated solution. But North Korea must fulfill its basic obligations by first stopping all ballistic missile launches and nuclear weapons testing, and taking concrete steps towards getting rid of its nuclear weapons program. Our goal is not regime change. The United States has no wish to threaten the North Korean people or destabilize the Asia-Pacific region. And we have never closed the door to dialogue with North Korea. But as we have said before, all options for responding to future provocations must remain on the table.
In contrast, China, which is Pyongyang's only major ally, called for a peaceful settlement to the issue through strengthening the efforts on non-proliferation and promotion of peace talks.
当前，朝鲜半岛形势复杂敏感，半岛核问题也处在 重回对话协商解决正轨的关键窗口期。
Japan and South Korea, meanwhile, reaffirmed bilateral ties with Washington on the sidelines of Asia's premier regional security summit in Singapore. Japan supported the US, saying it will back any option to deal with North Korea, including military strikes.
Security threats North Korea poses to the region and beyond have now entered new stage. To address North Korea's threats, Japan-US alliance is further deepening cooperation and coordination. The United States is making clear through both words and deeds that all options are on the table. I strongly support the US position.
North Korea has conducted 12 missile tests this year, infuriating its neighbors and escalating tension in the Korean peninsula. Before Friday's vote, the North Korean blacklist named 39 individuals and 42 entities and groups subject to sanctions. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A series of blasts in Kabul claimed at least 12 lives at a funeral for one of the victims of clashes between police and protesters a day before. The blast is the latest in a wave of violence in the capital since this week's truck bomb blast that killed 80 people. The reports of the death toll are conflicting, with some claiming that 18 people had died. There has been no immediate claim of responsibility. The explosions occurred at the funeral for Muhammad Salim Izadiar, the son of the Deputy Senate Speaker. He had been seriously injured in clashes during Friday's protests against the government over its security record. Meanwhile, Afghan authorities have said that they will investigate the violent anti-government clashes. Much of Kabul was locked down on Saturday to prevent a repeat of the violence. However, a large group of protesters remained near the blast site in the center of town. While global leaders continue to condemn the United States' decision to pull out of the Paris climate deal, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro described Trump's decision as disastrous and catastrophic, urging the international community to mobilize against the decision. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos also joined with the other world leaders in lamenting Trump's decision. Santos, however, said that his country remained committed to defending the environment and adapting to climate change. Countries such as China, France and Germany have already expressed dismay at Trump's decision and have also rejected calls to renegotiate the climate change agreement.
Para el mundo tiene que haber un gran movimiento popular de conciencia, de movilización para obligar al presidente Donald Trump a respetar los acuerdos de París, el acuerdo del COP21. Desde Venezuela lo decimos porque Venezuela tiene voz propia y nada ni nadie nos va a callar en la verdad por salvar.
We have felt it 50 years ago. We have been telling the world about the problems in the Pacific countries. There's a lot of islands that are basically coral islands. They're sinking. A lot of villages are disappearing from the surface of the earth, so we are very aware of the earth.
Well, let's take a look now at some of the other developments from across the globe in Global Buzz. Former FBI Director James Comey will address the U.S. Senate panel on June 8th over Russia's alleged interference in the 2016 U.S. election. According to the committee, Comey will speak at both an open session and behind closed doors, which would allow him to discuss classified information. Comey was fired on May 9th by U.S. President Donald Trump. Indian origin Leo Varadkar is said to be Ireland's youngest Prime Minister. Varadkar will also be the once staunchly Catholic country's first openly gay Prime Minister. Varadkar will be voted in as Prime Minister when Parliament next sits on June 13th. Varadkar's father Ashok, who is a doctor, was born in Mumbai, while his mother Miriam is an Irish nurse. Greek police is evacuating migrants from the old abandoned airport in Athens as the site is slated for redevelopment. Over 2,000 people had sought shelter at Athens' Helinokin airport last year after the closure of the Balkan route to Central Europe. According to police, evacuation has been peaceful so far. At least 37 people were injured in an explosion in a supermarket in the southern city of Shiraz in Iran. According to officials, a gas leak or an explosion of flammable items stored in the supermarket could be the reason behind the blast. And finally, some sports news now, where at the French Open, world number 1 Andy Murray saw off Argentina's Juan Martín del Potro with a superb straight-set win to reach the fourth round of the French Open. Murray won a gripping 84-minute opening set on his way to a 7-6, 7-5, 6-0 victory. 7th-seeded Marin Cilic also advanced to the fourth round of the men's singles. Cilic defeated Spaniard Feliciano Lopez in straight sets 6-1, 6-3, 6-3.
Right effort from him. Possibly should have won the first set. Murray stuck to his guns.
Meanwhile, in the women's singles, world Simona Halep and 9th-seeded Agnieszka Radwanska also progressed to the fourth round with straight sets victories. Halep defeated Russia's Daria Kasatkina 6-0, 7-5, while Radwanska beat Elise Cornet 6-2, 6-1 of France. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good night.